All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. It's July 24th. We're taking a look at NASDAQ. Yesterday, we see some late day strength, price testing that all time high, that 23,424.75, currently the all time high. Did not make a fresh all time high during the overnight session, but got quite close. Now, this morning, we have what was a fairly choppy early start to the overnight session right through here. And then just within the last half hour, price resolved lower, retested last week's high at 23,320. That's been a pretty solid reference point for this week's trading. And now you have some buying activity versus that level. So, kind of right in the middle here of the two primary levels that I'm interested in watching today. First of all, being the all-time high, 23,424, and then of course the 23,320 level as well. So we'll see how this open looks. NQ as of right now, just bumping into VWAP. You have session volume point of control down at 356. I really would like to see some action again versus either, like I said, 320 or that 425 area. Now we do have prior day high kind of in the mix right at 405. It was kind of right in that same zone. Prior day high 405, overnight high 422, and then of course your all-time high right there 424.75. ES did make pretty nice fresh all-time highs during yesterday's session. Let's jump over to that chart really quick here. Yeah, there's your fresh highs on ES. A really nice move yesterday. A breakout testing some of those upside fib extension levels that you can see right there. All-time high is currently 6407 for the S&P. We had talked about that yesterday during yesterday's stream. If price can break that all-time high, to watch for some price discovery, some continuation, right? And so what you had yesterday was a test off the open. We talked about the fresh all-time high being rejected in the morning, a retest of last week's high at 6357, and a pretty significant bounce there. So ES remains strong, right? Near-term range, trading incredibly technically, breakout, retest, fresh highs, another retest there, and just continuing the drift higher. It's a short's nightmare right there. Absolute nightmare if you want a short. Now let's see if NQ is going to follow suit here with some fresh highs. We have Tesla earnings behind us. We have Google earnings behind us. So let's see. We've got the open here in about 90 seconds. And there's VWAP right there. VWAPy. Quiet in the chat. Anyone there? Anyone out there? Let me know. Drop a good morning. I see Nicole. There's everyone. What's up, Des? D-Wall. We got Dom here. Alan, Rich. Kevin. Dave. Mike. Forex Mind. There we go. Jacob, what's happening, man? Jacob, you are a menace on a BMX bike. Oh my goodness. I watched some of those videos you post in just astonishment, man. Love to see it. Love to see it. All right, there's the open right at VWAP. See what we're working with here. Nice push off the open. Let's bring that volume profile back. There it is. So prior day high right overhead, 23,405. Some weakness in Russell down into overnight low. NQ rejecting prior day close. It's like we're at a very, very small gap lower. New low of day, 23,350 on NQ. Overnight low is at 327. New low of day. So watching that reaction down into 327, 320 area. Let's see, do we have a 10 a.m. print? Well, we have a 9:45 a.m. print and a 10 a.m. print. FYI. Live executions, Des. I don't want anyone to tail my trades. Then it starts to become like more of an alerts thing, more of a signals thing. That's not my goal. Not my goal. Because if I enter a trade and someone else enters it and then they take a loss, instead of taking ownership for their trade, guess who they're going to blame? I'm good on that. I am good on that. Yeah, exactly, Dom. Opinicus is about to turn 8 years old next month, and the mission has always been helping people find their own way in the market. Not following, but learning the ropes on their own. Our session volume point of control, 352, a little bit of a bounce there. Very tough location. Still cash. Staying patient right now. We have that data print in 10 minutes. Volume already below average. A little rejection at VWAP right there. NQ back in a session lows. NQ just sitting on the lows. See if that overnight low wants to trade. Almost a new low of day right there. There's your new low of day. Overnight low 327, and then last week's high right there at 320. No position or clean signal DOM. Yeah, still cash as well. Still cash. Cashed out. First data print of the morning in 5 minutes here. Ray swapped slapping the open for slapping some bread. Probably a good way to save money right there. NASDAQ inching its way into overnight low. All right, data in 2 minutes. Still cash. Look at the volume. Below average. It's probably one of the hardest parts of trading right here, sitting and doing nothing. If you can master that, you can be very close to profitability or most likely already there. All right, here's that first data print. Let's see if we actually get some action here. Okay. Spread opens up, but not much movement. We got the spread nice and wide. So they pull liquidity from the market and pretty much no move. All right. We do have another one at 10 a.m. You have ES coming into session highs. Prior day high just above that point. Still cash. Cash, cash. I'm not seeing a setup. All right, NQ into highs. Let's see that prior day high. ES, fresh all-time highs over there, up through overnight high, up through prior day high. Looking at the reaction here versus the prior day high, 23,405. Setups all day for no man's land enjoyers. Yep. That is true. All day, every day. All day, every day. The casino is open. We only like to go when the broken slot machine is there, though. That's the only time we show up. 9 minutes till 10 a.m. Slow open. NQ, technically, that's a little intraday up thrust right there. All right, let's see the write up then, Mish. See ya, man. Let's see it. Post the write up. Trade review tab is calling your name. NASDAQ back in a session volume point of control. Look at the volume. NQ getting back into lows. Back into the session low. What happened to Chrissy anyway? I haven't seen him all week. RTY, nice rejection at VWAP. Now into session lows. We've got 3 minutes till data. Personally, I've done absolutely nothing. Still cash here. All right, 2 minutes till 10 a.m. NQ just in a fairly tight intraday range. 334 by 400. About 70 points. One minute till data. New home sales, more of a minor print. Maybe it'll open things up a little bit. All right, there's 10 a.m. Yeah, pretty much nothing there, right? Nothing Berg. Not even an uptick in volume. Can't even get to average volume. What is this? See if we get the actual test of the overnight low here. NQ just continuing in no man's land. Inside day, yeah, definitely could be. And this thing has not even left the closing 5-minute bar from yesterday. We have to start looking at some other markets. A little RTY. A little CL maybe. Some lean hogs, exactly. There's oil session highs. Let's see, GC. Not bad. A little rejection at VWAP. Got the 2-hour trader framework. All right, NQ getting into the lows. Lean hogs, yes, sir. NQ is at a new low of day, not quite. What was lean hogs again? I think it's HE. Yeah, there it is. Talk about illiquid. Oh my goodness. Lean volume. Oh, that's right. Saw a couple weeks ago, everyone was talking about, I think it was platinum. Platinum, look at VWAP right there. Little VWAPy. I mean, this thing's definitely trending. Copper taking a dump here. Yeah, a lot of people actually trade these things. Well, I wouldn't say a lot of people, but definitely a market. I'm gonna stick with good old ES and NQ, tried and true. Stick to what you know. Maybe even a little RTY. ES just consolidating here near that all-time high. NASDAQ sitting on the low, so note the divergence between ES and NQ. NQ must be weighted down by maybe Google. Yep. Surprise, surprise. Google's in play today. Let's see Tesla. Tesla lower this morning. Wow, way lower. Stocks in play, Dom. Yeah. RTY, another rejection at VWAP. Let's get back to good old NQ. NQ just holding the lows. Wish that low was just a tad closer to the overnight low. That would be a tradable low for me. But alas, it is not. What strategy do I trade? Oh man. Trade a variety of different strategies. And outside of the scope of a YouTube live stream. But primarily focused on market structure. NASDAQ, if you read the pre-market prep notes, talked about low volume, potentially being choppy. THC on ES. That's decent, Albert. It's all right. Not my favorite. No fresh high being made on ES. NQ back into the lows here. There's your new low of day on NQ. So we're looking at the 320 area. That's last week's high as a reminder. Buyers stepping in there. I'll see if it holds. Finally, a little uptick in volume, just average volume now. Looks like no follow through. Right back into the lows. What's up with this little gap right here? Missing a little bit of data. Try reload. Nope, that didn't even fix it. There's your fresh low. True test of the 320. That was worth a try. Took a tight stop there. We have a day with the 222 again. Prior day volume point of control coming up 294. So far, there's a rejection of the all-time high, mind you. Better volume here. That's what I like to see. So far, buyers liking that prior day volume point of control right back into 320. So your intraday fib. Sellers reload right there. It's watching this 320 overnight low area. And right back into session lows. Not a huge fan of setting risk against prior day volume point of control given higher time frame location. So I'll look for action either above 320 overnight low area or down into 222. Kind of game plan right now. There you go, a little bounce. Okay. See if there's acceptance above the 320. Back into that overnight low. Where's our profile? There it is. I hate how the profile doesn't automatically load when you bounce between charts. There's your 38% fib. Is this the range for today? ES did not mark a fresh session low there. No new low of day over in ES. RTY just steady into the lows. Two very nice rejections of VWAP. It's that good old 2-hour trader framework. NASDAQ watching this action here, like I said, 320 overnight low area. See if sellers are going to reload right in this zone. Higher time frame shows that all-time high rejection. Now getting into the first kind of downside real structural reference point here, last week's high. Volume right back down into average again. $15-minute closes in 4 minutes as well as the 30-minute. At that point, we will be 1 hour into the sesh of a fairly choppy range-bound morning, low volume. NQ bumping into that 38% fib again. It's that intraday fib level. The fibbler. See if we get a little burst of action with this next 30-minute bar. A little flurry. 2.5 minutes. NQ just consolidating here. Overnight low 23,320. That is last week's high. Just as a reference point. Let's bring that profile back. How we looking? Yeah, volume point of control is not shifting anytime soon. That's for sure. See RTH up there as well. Yep. 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 All right, there's your next 30-minute bar. Still in this very tight consolidation here. D-Wall, you buying a new car, man? Putting some of those profits to work? Oh, you want to short the stock? What is it? CVNA? Yeah. Let's see. See what D-Wall's doing. Oh man, my goodness. It's like that meme era. Yeah, I remember. I remember all this quite well. Boy. Careful, D-Wall. You gonna sell some calls or what? Or just straight long puts? Sell some credit spreads? Long puts only. Long puts only. They may be super juiced. What's the IV? Unless you're going like way out of the money. So NASDAQ just continues to churn here. Really between that 38% intraday fib and last week's high 320. A little bit of a high volume node building out. We may actually see RTH volume point of control shift here shortly. All right, Kevin, take care, man. You have ES back into prior day high. Really good relative strength in ES. Spread is wide, yeah. I remember those days quite well with some of those illiquid. Gotta be careful with those. I've got some nightmare stories in those options. Chop Fest, yeah, this is mega slow. Probably give it another 10-15 minutes here before we call it a morning. All right, back to green on the morning. Man, they made me wait for that one. So take a look at the executions there. First long, take the stop, try it again. Went in with partial on that first one because I didn't love the entry. Added once that 320 was holding, that really made me wait for it. My God. But what I like to point out here is notice all of the executions are within the same area, the same price point. Even that first stop. Know what location you want to be involved with. Know where you want to be taking your entries. And let price do its thing. Overnight low, last week high. That's the zone. NQ into VWAP now, into that 61% fib. See if we get a higher low right through here. And put the trail right around 45. I don't want to give it too much room, but enough to let it work. Yeah, that one required some patience, D-Wall. That's for sure. That choppiness is going to shake a lot of people out, but price did not give a reason to exit. Stop would be below 320 there, which is my level. And it did not breach. So you just got to sit and wait. See if I get trailed here. Trails at 45. Actually, more like 44.75. Patience pays. Patience pays. I'd like to see this 350 holding. It may not. We'll see here in a sec. There you go. So you can lift the trail pretty safely up into 48. And if price can break the 362 area with some acceptance, probably be looking at a retest of 400 up into the highs there. So again, to recap, initially tried the spring setup right through here, stopped instantly. Didn't even get out of any partial. It's just flat wrong on that. Tried a shallow one with a partial right through here. Thought I may just show a continuation. So grab a partial there. Did not show the continuation. Gives me a spot to add the rest right through here. That's exactly what we did. Now I'm about to get trailed. And there's the trail. There is the trail. So we're all out. 1 for 2 so far this morning. Staying patient now. NQ kind of in no man's land for me. You do have VWAP right there. I like action either against overnight high and last week's high, or really up above prior day high. We'll see how this next 15 minutes looks. Now a little consolidation here at VWAP. Snoozer. My goodness. Snoozy. NQ back into session highs. Or excuse me, ES. Excuse me. S&P relative. We've been talking about the relative strength all week. Nice little push there on NQ. ES all-time highs. New high of day, all-time highs on ES. NQ looks like I got shaken out of my long by just a couple ticks there. Not bad. Not bad. I'm not mad about it. Eight minutes till 11. Churn, 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 churn. Been thinking about doing a prop firm account giveaway. What company would everyone want? Let's say you won. What would be your preferred prop firm? Tradeify, Take Profit Trader, Top Step, TPT. Okay, okay. That would be my choice. Anything with Project X, The Futures Desk, TPT. TPT. Wow, a lot of TPT votes. Okay. Yeah, TPT. I do love TPT. All right. Good to know. Good to know. Sam TPT. Can't beat the daily payouts. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Anything but Apex. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that too. All right, gonna give it about 5 more minutes here. See if we get another setup that aligns with maybe the 11 a.m. 30-minute bar. ES up into fresh all-time highs. NQ lagging behind, just kind of sitting here near VWAP on very, very low volume, below average volume. NASDAQ, another little push here. Slow, slow day. Well, there's 11 a.m. NQ still within today's range. I'm going to be looking at the reaction up near prior day high, assuming price gets up into there. ES just on its own now. Good volume as this thing continues to press all-time highs. Pretty limited action in NASDAQ, if you ask me. Basically, we had the up thrust, which was probably the best trade of the morning, right up here. Intraday up thrust with the prior day high right there. You do have a couple of tighter rejections of VWAP right through here. Those are going to be tough to enter unless you're on a very short time frame. And then, of course, we have the action versus the overnight low, last week's high. Confluence of two reference points there. That was my preferred attempt. Tried it 2 times. First one's a stop. Second one ends up working. Trailed it a bit too tight. Not much I can do now except for wait, sit on my hands and wait. So that's a wrap on the day, on the morning anyway. I'm going to call it there. If we see any more action this morning, I'll be deploying the XFAs. Otherwise, just chilling. Just chilling. So hope you guys had a good morning. Hope you did not get chopped up. Like I mentioned at the start of the stream, big part of trading is just being willing to wait. And it's definitely, it's tough to do. It's tough to do. It feels like you're being unproductive, but that's not the case. It's just not the case. We're looking for very specific scenarios. They don't happen all the time. So anyway, we'll keep it going in the Traders Think Tank here today. Tomorrow, there's not going to be a stream. I'm doing a little bit of travel. Be back in California to see the fam for the weekend. Back on Monday. And then yeah, should be a full normal week next week. We do have FOMC. We've got some jobs data, I believe. And then we do have the August 1st tariff deadline. So it could be a pretty good trading week next week. Be prepared for that. Anyway, thanks for your time today, and I will see you on Monday. Take care.